Welcome to the Sanford Coyote Sports Center in Vermillion, talking USD women's basketball with head coach Dawn Plitzuweit. And we start this week with some very exciting news. Dawn, your team, for the first time in program history at the Division I level, is ranked in the AP Top 25. You got that news Monday morning. I mean, I can only imagine how thrilling that is for you as a coach and how you feel for your program.
Well, there's so many people that go into one of those type of rankings, from the players who helped build the program and the coaches who were here before us, and especially now to the young ladies that we have in our team. And they've worked so hard. It's just such a great accomplishment for our team and for our program, and these young ladies have really worked their tails off to get to this point in time. But then it's even beyond that. We're at a university where we have great support from within the university, and we have a great fan base who have really helped power us through some difficult games and some difficult situations. And so it really takes so many people to go into something like this. And then with all that being said, it's fun, and it's going to be fun for today, and then it's time to get back to work, because this isn't our ultimate goal at this point in time in the season. It's great to have this type of an accomplishment, but it's not our ultimate goal.
Now, you've been knocking on the door of this for quite some time, really since that Iowa State win, and just haven't been able to quite get enough respect from the voters to get into the poll. And you've handled that pressure very well to this point, just of being talked about in that way. But now this is a very different thing. Obviously, being a top 25 team, you know that you've got a target on your back based on what you guys were able to do last year, going through the league undefeated. But this kind of heightens that even more, don't you think?
I think it certainly brings attention to your opponents at another level, and it's something that for us is a point where something that we will discuss early on in this week, but then we will get after it at another level, because it's going to be important. We need to play with a heightened sense of awareness going into our game against Western Illinois this Saturday.
All right, this is, by the way, the third team in the history of this conference to earn a top 25 ranking, so congratulations first and foremost for that. Quite an accomplishment for you and your program. But let's talk about how you finally got over that hump and into the top 25 this week, and you did that with a couple of wins on the week past, and that first started Wednesday night against Omaha, and it started in pretty incredible fashion with something I personally have never seen on a basketball court at any level. You shut out the Mavericks 29-0 in the first quarter. Now that's impressive both offensively and defensively. Can you just speak a little on exactly how that was able to happen?
Well, Omaha is a very good team, and they have the ability to score and score quickly and score in bunches, and we saw that at their place. First quarter, I think they had scored 17 points in the first quarter, and so we had a better sense of awareness. And what it really takes in order to defend them and hold them down is to have 5 players that all understand what their roles are, what their job is, and stay disciplined in that job. And certainly our young ladies did just a tremendous job of that in the first quarter and throughout the course of the whole game, really. But in that first quarter, we didn't really score efficiently the first few minutes of the game, but then when we really started to score, then the game really separated pretty quickly. You can look at so many different individual performances, and 2 that I think that are really noteworthy, and 2 young ladies we don't talk an awful lot about. One of them is Liv Korngable, who comes off the bench for us, and we didn't have her services at Omaha because she was sick. But she played 20 minutes in that game. She was 3 for 4 from the arc. She scored, I think it was 11 points. But she's someone who just quietly comes in off the bench a lot of times and just does her job. She defends really well. Offensively, she moves the ball, she shares the ball. She really helps us within our motion offense with our movement, and really played a great game. And the other young lady was Monica Arns, another young lady that comes off the bench. And again, Monica plays really sometimes almost every position on the court for us, and defends almost every position on the court for us. And that can be a challenge for any player in that type of situation, to know your role and all those different capacities. And I think she just does a tremendous job and had a great game for us as well.
Monica, by the way, finished 8 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. So that speaks to doing a little bit of everything for you and the kind of player she is when she's out on the floor for you. The last question I really want to touch on about this game is the fact that Omaha became the 5th consecutive opponent that you held to 50 points or fewer. Now, that's the first time this program has been able to do something like that since 1973. I think that speaks to just how difficult it is.
Since the three-point arc has come in
exactly.
At that point in time. And that really has changed the game of basketball tremendously. And again, for for our young ladies to say, we really want to hang our hat on who we want to be defensively, and then to back it up with that stretch of really being great defensively, it just speaks volumes, I think, of the character and the toughness and the tenacity that our young ladies have, and now they need to continue to play with that.
And the intensity level ratcheted up quite a few notches then on Saturday when Oral Roberts came to town. The Golden Eagles, as you have said before, are a very difficult team to guard. And they showed why in that first half. They hit 10 threes on 16 attempts. What was working so well for them? Why were they able to be so efficient from outside?
Well, they were able to really space the floor and make us guard them in so many different ways. I took a screenshot of one of the possessions in the game where Kenny Jo Lippy hit a shot, and she was basically standing where I stand during the game, right at the end of the scorer's table. She was at least 8 to 10 feet behind the arc. We're in a zone at that point in time trying to put some pressure on them and extend a little bit, and we're standing next to her, obviously not really pressuring her tremendously because she shoots it and she makes it. So some of it was a factor that they were really, really hot, and they really made some shots, and they made shots from deep. And you have to give them a lot of credit for doing that. But we were able, throughout the course of the game, or I should say probably better said, in the second half of that game, to find ways to get better ball pressure, to get out and extend, and really get out there and try to make them do something else other than just take and make perimeter arc shots. Despite
your early struggle shooting the basketball, despite Oral Roberts' high level of efficiency shooting the basketball, you got it back to within 7 at half. It was 6-point deficit going into that fourth quarter, and what an incredible final frame for you. You outscore Oral Roberts 27-10 in that frame, and boy, Kira Duffy was incredible. She scored 16 of her 18 in that frame. Well, Kira was absolutely outstanding in that fourth quarter, but she played well and she played hard prior to that time, but really capitalized and made some great things happen for us on both ends of the court. And when you go back and you watch how we defended in that fourth quarter, there are just players making plays all over the place, trying to finish possessions, save the ball from going out of bounds and saving it off of their opponent's legs, or tipping shots and flying around and trying to come in and grab the ball away from their opponents, and just so much. So there was so much scramble and urgency, I think is probably a good term, in that fourth quarter defensively. And then on the offensive end, we were able to get a little bit better movement. I thought Monica was able to come in and she got a couple touches around the basket and scored those, and that kind of got us going a little bit. And then we got some inside-out action. Kira hit a couple arc shots that way. Madison McKeever hit a really big arc shot. Hannah Shervin came in the game on a baseline out-of-bounds scenario, and she hits the 2 free throws at the 2-minute mark. She gets fouled, hits 2 free throws to put us up for the first time in the game. And just lots of different players making really big plays during that stretch of the fourth quarter. Now you mentioned Hannah, and it's a gut check win for your team, but a gutty performance from her individually, because she went down with an ankle injury in the first half. It did not look good when she first came off. She comes out and still manages to give you 7 points, 4 rebounds in 11 minutes of action. So she still contributed, but the question now is, how is she? And is the outlook good going forward? Yeah, that's a good question. At this point in time, probably a little still too early to tell. I thought she certainly really showed incredible toughness to come back and play and be productive in the minutes that she played. And you could tell that was bothering her, because she sticks 2 big free throws and then is coming out and she hobbles over to the bench at that point in time. And I thought Chloe Lamb was a young lady who came out. She sprained her ankle early in the game too, and both of them came back and gave us very, very important minutes, even though they obviously were not at full strength. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that going forward into this week. As you mentioned earlier, big game this week now on the road, only one on the schedule at Western Illinois. The Leathernecks have won 4 straight since losing in this building. They've won 7 of 8 overall, one of the hotter teams in the Summit League. So as you look at them now, what in particular are they doing well? Well, their pace of play is phenomenal. I think they're 12th in the country in three-pointers made on the season. They're a team that can really space the floor, and we just saw that with Oral Roberts. So we understand how important it is to get out and make shots challenge from the perimeter. At the same time, they also get to the free throw line very efficiently because they space the floor and they drive to the basket very, very well.
The other part of their pace of play that is significant to note is that they're 11th in the country in steals. With the zone that they play, they really force a lot of turnovers. For us, it took us a little while to get back in the rhythm against their zone when we faced them here, and so that's something that you have to be very, very solid on both ends of the court, and you have to do it on the road, and that certainly is just another challenge, and our young ladies now are going to have to find ways to continue to get better.
All right, well, Dawn, congrats on a great week. Good luck to you this week. Congrats again on the top 25 rankings. Certainly a lot of exciting things going on with USD women's basketball right now.
Thank you, Jay.